Man, this thing just went live on me. I'm not sure if I did this right or not. I wasn't expecting it to go live this quick. Matter of fact, if somebody doesn't come in, I'm about to click off of this. Man, I can't believe anybody actually. Alright, hey, I wasn't prepared to go live. I was just setting it up. Next thing I know, it says I'm going live. So, anyway. Just let me roll these windows up. I wasn't planning on doing this quick. Alright. My beautiful wife, Andrea, what's up? Myth Leather Company, what's up? Can't wait to get back home to some of that good old bourbon when I get back there. Might even go ahead and hit up some good gin or some martinis when I get back. Georgia Trucker, soup. Hey, it's the Super Trucker. That's what I do. Make it quick. I'm setting up for a nap. Hey, it'll be quick. Shoot, I didn't expect to go live this damn fast. So, John, I've been doing all right. Listen, I've been out for way longer than I normally would have been. I came off of home time the 25th of February. So by the time I get home, we're looking at 10 weeks. And we're not talking about the best 10 weeks I've been out. We're talking about substandard 10 weeks. And normally, I'd have cut this shit short because unlike most people, they're like, well, I'm doing bad, let me stay out longer. No, if I'm usually doing bad, I'm going to come home earlier and reset that. All right, Andrew's talking about some blue cheese stuffed olives. I'm not sure what type of martinis I'd be looking for, but yeah, those would be good. All right. Slowpoke, what's up? All right, only super truckers get those CDLs. That's what I'm talking about, especially if you got the multiple CDLs. Now, real quick, if you're seeing all this facial hair, man, that's because I let it grow so long I can't even cut it with the regular razor blade, so I gotta wait till I get home. All right, so anyway, just talk about a few things. There's some stuff going on about truck drivers being able to speak English and all this kind of stuff, and that's not my battle to fight. I really don't care about that. The only thing I gotta say about that is truck drivers will always find a reason that they're not making money. Now, I'm not saying that's good, bad, and different. You know what I'm saying? But, it's sort of like this. If you remember, Chris Rock did a video a while back, and he was like saying, all America's patriotism is turned into hatriotism. So he's like, I'm American. Fuck the French. He's like, that was cool. And I'm American. Fuck them Arabs. That was cool. And then they're like, I'm American. Fuck them illegal aliens. Then I started listening because black people and Jews were next. That's really all I'm saying is that in the trucking industry, there's always been a reason to justify why you ain't making money. It's either company drivers or mega carriers, or it's like, it's foreign drivers, or you can't speak English or whatever. And like I said, I could care less either way, but there's always going to be somebody to blame for you not making no money. So, in the trucking industry, to be honest with you, it's fluctuating a lot less than a lot of other industries. And I've mentioned it before, and everybody's talking about broker transparency and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? If you're a real player, if you're really going to talk that, I'm a Republican and I'm, small government, all that shit. Well, you know what? Part of that small government is no regulation. So you got to eat that one too. All right. Anyway, it sucks. Dick said, I'm sucked out here, headed to Springfield. Just drove through Springfield. I'm out here in, should I forget? I'm on I-49 exit 27 at the Loves, I think. Deliver about 50 miles away tomorrow. on a Walmart load. It's not an OTIF load, so I'll get there a few hours early. Hey, if you're not making money, it's always time to go home. Reset that. Truck Trader Sam, I'm doing horrible. You know what? I took 21 days vacation and back on the road 2 weeks. Still bad. Went home for 10 days again. I told my dispatcher when it gets better, let me know. That's what I'm talking about. Now, normally I wouldn't really be caring about this as much, but I got some money that I want to make for some other shit. But, yeah, it's going to have to, next time I come off of home time, once I go home and come back out, if things aren't clicking, I will shut it down early. Because, most people are like, well, if things are bad, I'll stay out longer. No, if things are bad, I'll shut it down. John's been out 8 weeks, need a break. I've been out, this will be coming up on 10 weeks. I came out on the 25th of February, which is way longer than I normally would have. What's up, Demetrio? Every time I see that name, I think about Night at the Roxbury when he was like, Emilio! Get a haircut. Man, as soon as I go home, I'm cutting the hair and cutting the facial hair. Dude, did I hear about Trump's announcement with CDL drivers? Listen, it's all a plot and a ploy to keep our mind off of the real thing. I don't give a fuck if people can speak English. Personally, I don't care. I think a lot of people use that as a reason why they ain't making no money. Now, do I think people should be able to speak English and drive trucks? Yeah, but I'm not going to blame that as to why I'm fucking failing or not doing good. All right, Afro, you killing it with the Kid King. All right, what's up? My brother, all right, Alpha, what's up? Raphael Noob, 5 months at home now, all right. And Andrea must be saying that my wife is the reason I'm staying out here longer, which would be true. I would have been home by now. Fuck all that. All right. Jared Red rates. Now, there's a ton of reasons why rates have gone up or down or whatever. And I hardly believe it's immigrant drivers that are putting that much pressure on the industry to bring rates down that low. I don't know. Craig, what's up? There's always been a law. I don't care if there's a law or not. Enforce the law, don't enforce the law. That doesn't affect me. But what happens is when people are blaming their failures on some... Tell me how stupid this sounds. I'm failing because there's this other guy that has the cards stacked totally against him that can't fucking speak English, and now he's affecting my income. I just don't get it. So yeah, I don't mind if everybody has to speak English and all that kind of stuff, but that cannot be a reason that you're failing. If it is, you're doing it wrong. Bobby Yago, what's up? No, I'm in a Peterbilt. The dude, what's up? Alright, trucking is shit nowadays. It's not like it used to be back in the days, right or wrong. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've only been in trucking for 6 years, so I don't know what it was like before that. I mean, here's what I do know about the trucking industry, because one of my best friends is an old school truck driver. Been driving since 94. And what he said is all the bullshit people are talking about nowadays about, new school drivers and, all this bullshit is, first of all, he said, people were doing more reckless shit and everything back in the day. You just didn't hear about it. So a lot of that is just the perception. So he did say it was funner, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of, he was like, man, because we were talking about, all the Swift shit that's out there. And he was like, man, oh, no, we weren't talking about that. We were talking about low bridges and people hitting low bridges. He's like, man, people used to hit low bridges back in the day. The only thing was nobody ever said anything about it. But well, there was no platform to put that shit on. So all right, I got my CDL at 18, now 42. So, like I said, my boy's been out there since 94. So, he's been out there a long time. I mean, for the most part, he said that things have got better. And he's like a real truck, like flatbed, like he's like the real fucking, you know, wears around fucking boots and, you know, these jumpsuits. And actually, I think he's still wearing the Marine Corps jumpsuit that back in the, you know, he's a real fucking trucker. And he's just like, you know what, this is a bunch of bullshit. People are talking about some stuff, and most of the people that are talking about how good it was back in the day weren't even around back in the day. So, anyway. Alright, Cody prefers old trucks compared to newer trucks because they have computers and shit in them. I don't know enough about that. I just know that this Peterbilt right here is clicking about 9.25 miles per gallon. And you know what? Every now and then, it's a little bit of bullshit you gotta deal with. But not a lot. It will be going back in the shop when I get home just to get a oil change, all that kind of stuff. I do have a check engine light that's been on, so I'll get that looked at, but nothing serious. The dude, I dropped my Pete off at the dealer. They said I need all this recall shit done. That's good. At least they recognize that they're going to get it in there for free. All that. I mean, that's good right there, right? Can you take, all right, Jared, can you take a prime truck to a Peterbilt dealership for an oil change? Yes, you can. And I would actually suggest that. It's more money, but I've heard nightmares about little things that have happened at the terminals where they're tightening up the like little drain plug too much, or they don't. I prefer taking my shit to Peterbilt rather than doing it at terminal. So absolutely. And it may cost a little bit more, but hey, you know what? Especially if you don't live where you could park a truck good, that is the perfect free storage for you. Man, I'll drop my truck off and forget about that shit. I can delete the DPF def completely. Go ahead and do that. All right, this is about principal. Can't go to another company. Listen, I don't give a fuck about principal. Here's what I care about, Craig, is if I'm another motherfucker, and this is... It's sort of like this. A criminal's job is to get away with crime. A police's job is to enforce crime. How am I going to look down on somebody that's trying to make their life better by coming to another country? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that it's right, wrong, or whatever. And, you know, here's the thing. A lot of Americans that talk shit about foreigners just got lucky that they were born in the right fucking pussy in the right fucking country. That's it. They didn't do anything to earn it. They didn't do anything. They were just born in the right place at the right time. So I'm not saying that's not my battle to fight. I don't care about that. It's not principles or whatever. Enforce the laws, whatever, do whatever you want. But I'm not going to look down on somebody that's doing shit to make their life better. I can't do that. The dude's had an oil change light on since my oil change. Man, I've had it on for the last 10 weeks. I'm married to a foreigner, but the difference is she allows. You know what? And I'm not saying that there's anything right or wrong about that. All I'm saying is that I'm not looking down on somebody for trying to make their life better. Illegally, not illegally, whatever. And there were a ton of people, especially Cubans. Those are the last motherfuckers out there that can like talk about, you know, any fucking thing, because the shit was, they had the easiest path of anybody. Cuban motherfuckers, like, what, you know, wet foot, dry foot, all that. Listen, Cuban, I don't know if your wife's Cuban or not, but Cuban listen, they fucking have the easiest shit ever. So, and I'm talking about the early 90s, whenever that shit was, late 90s. Oh, shit, anyway. But either way, legal, not legal, I am not the person to look down on somebody trying to make their life better. What would you do, Craig, if the United States gave you no opportunity, but Mexico could give you the opportunity and you could make it there? Would you just sit there and be like, you know what, it's illegal for me to go to Mexico, so I'm just gonna sit up here and like not even try to make my life better just because it's illegal? No, as a man, if I said, you know what, shit's illegal for me to cross into Mexico, I see Mexico might be a better place for me to do it, you know what, let me take my shot. All right. So none of that really matters to me. I'm looking at things from what I would do. And as a man, it's by all means necessary. I'm going to do whatever it fucking takes to put my family in a better position. And if that means illegally crossing the border or doing whatever, then I'm going to do that. And then it's up to somebody else to enforce that rule. But I'm not going to, how am I going to looking down on somebody for trying to make their life better? That's no. Jared, if I could go to France and make 4 times the amount of money that I'm making now, I would send it right home. And that's another, you know, and I'm not saying America's not the best country in the world, but if you look at like the satisfaction standard, I mean, there's a ton of countries that pop up above that. It may not be Mexico, it may not be whatever, but there's a ton of you know, I think the whole I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right, Baba Yaga does his own work on his truck. He's a real truck driver. Hey, that's good shit right there. I don't do shit. All right, Craig is talking about an executive order. It's not that big of a deal. Perfectly won't affect us at all. And that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I don't care. None of this stuff affects me. But if you know, how fucking weak is that going to make me if I say I'm doing bad because foreigners are pulling our freight and they're dragging the freight rates down, or, you know, there's too many foreign drivers. And personally, I think that you should be able to understand English. So that's not my battle. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with that. But what I'm saying is I also agree with A, people trying to make their life better. And I'm not going to fault anybody for it. You get caught, you get caught. But B, as soon as I start saying that my life is bad because illegal immigrants or you know, people that are taking freight for less money or whatever it is, then that says more about my weak ass than it does them. So you're telling me it doesn't matter either way. I'm just saying that I'm not placing blame. Like if one thing I will tell you, the mortgage industry, the mortgage business, even like some other industries I know of, are taking a harder hit than trucks right now. I have not heard one of them people bitching about it's bad because, this or that, or, what it, like, what they've done? They've sucked it up. I've known some people that are like, I've taken a second job, or I knew it was coming or whatever, and I'm just living on savings, or I'm doing whatever, but I have not heard one motherfucker in any of these businesses talk about, we need regulation, because, listen, regulation, you cannot be a Republican, which most truck drivers are, and say, we need to regulate mortgage, or, like, brokers. As soon as you say that, you might as well start voting Democrat. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of rare. I will say I lean a little bit to the left, but when you start getting into regulation and all that, and this is the funny thing, I would say I lean to the left, but I lean to the left less than most of the fucking truck drivers that are talking about regulating more, freight brokers and all this shit. I lean less to the left than most of those people, or most of those people lean more to the left that are like, we need to see what the rates are and broker transparency. You might as well just shout out, you know what? I fucking want to vote Democrat. You might as well just put it out there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just be a proud Democrat if that's what you want to be. Because that's where you're at, right there. Do not pull that fucking, I'm a fucking MAGA, Trump Republican, and then in the second breath be like, we need broker transparency. No, it doesn't work like that. Oh, that shit pissed me off thinking about that. Most new drivers can't adjust their brakes to save their life. All right. One international economy, more or less, with some more open than others, one workforce. Okay. If we want to move production and blue collar again, the real point is people not wanting to take accountability and blame for their failures. I agree. I'd rather go hungry for work for free. Which might be a good thing. Okay, talking about that. All right. Hey, Lau, how's it going? Man, I'm just chilling. You know what? Not doing as well as I would typically do on a 10-week run, but it's the market's ebb and flows. You know what I'm saying? We take it as we can. But it's a huge new deal, like project, if they move it back to the States. I hear you, Lyle. Out of all the problems, truckers, have they chose non-English speaking drivers over stupidity? I agree. As a son of immigrants, fuck those drivers who can't learn the language and follow the laws. I agree, and I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying is you can't blame them. So if you say, you know what, these guys right here killing all these people, which I beg to fucking, I don't think that that's the case either. I think it's getting magnified. But if that was the case, then I can accept that fight. But don't say I'm doing bad because this motherfucker can't speak English, or I'm doing bad because this Indian guy has 3 guys in the truck and the rates are all low. Because, now it's immigrants and, Russian people and, whatever, and non-English speakers. But and before that, it was mega carriers. What's coming next? Next is going to be some other people. When times are fucked up, people are going to find a way to blame anybody. And that's where we're at right now. Things are bad and people are looking to place blame. Right now it's just easy to blame people that can't speak English. It's easy to blame people that are, Russian or whatever. Same with Mexican farm workers. They are hired by companies. I can't understand that. That's why I'm a libertarian, not a Democrat or Republican. I can see that. Companies under pressure are founded by unions. They said build extra freight ways for the freight. I didn't hear anything about that. But they have to populate the grid with cameras instead of trucks. Deport them. And I'm not saying deport them or not. That's not my battle to fight. I'm just saying I, as a man, would do whatever it takes to make my... Listen, when I say whatever it takes, I will do whatever it takes for my family. And if that would take to be in Mexico, coming to America, whatever is, then that's what I would do. And I'm not going to look down on anybody that does that. Catch me if you can, whatever. And we're only talking about a small population of Mexico, because if you look at like Mexico City, they're more advanced than some of the shit we got down here. Do not get it twisted. So don't be mad at the legal immigrants, be mad at the corporations that hire them. Absolutely. And you're seeing a lot of that come to fruition right now. A lot of people that have farms, restaurants, all this shit, they're not able to find people that are doing those menial jobs that were getting done before. Dishwashers. Like, when was the last time you saw a white motherfucker drive through California with the farms, and the last time you saw a white or a black motherfucker out there picking like vegetables? Let me know. As a matter of fact, I'll pay $1,000 a picture if you send it to me. You don't see it. But like I said, I have no problem with the enforcement of the shit. I'm a 35-year-old truck veteran, 25 years as an owner-operator. I've had to adjust and pivot my business 4 or 5 times in my career to adjust to new markets and regulations. Can't always blame everybody. I'm telling you, and people that I know in the business I came out of have had to adjust. I mean, even when I was in, you've had to adjust a lot of times, and sometimes that adjustment was, adjustments like adjustments you might not have wanted to make, but you've always had to make those adjustments. And I just think that it's unrealistic to expect that a market's going to be static. And as soon as you say broker transparency, we need to see what the broker's getting paid and all that stuff, because in all honesty, I'm going to tell you this right now, it's harder to get the business than to run the business. So let me say that very easily. It's easier to get a load that you had no work to get than to build a relationship with somebody to actually get that load. So the hard work is the actual getting the load. The easy part is getting that load from somebody and running it. Regardless of what people say. When I was in the mortgage business, we had people that would go out and get mortgage leads that we would pay. If it was a qualified mortgage lead and they were ready to do a loan, there oftentimes we would pay up to 65, 70% of the, like if that loan closed, we would pay 65 to 70%, well, probably closer to 60, 65% of that profit to the person that found that loan. Excuse me, I keep saying load. So that's what truck drivers don't understand. They feel like, oh, well, they're taking all this shit off the top. Do you know how hard it was to get that fucking load? You don't know. And I think that goes along with, and I'm saying this in the kindest way, trucker ignorance. Not being stupid, being ignorant of what it takes to get that load. And if it's so easy, go do it yourself. Get 100% of it. If you're that player, go do it. Go get your own loads and make 100%. And I guarantee you, 100% of what you're going to be able to do is going to be a whole lot less than 50 or whatever it is off of somebody else's work. I bet anybody fucking whatever they want to put up on it. In Canada, you have to speak English. Is your truck, or is it so stupid? I agree. Uh-oh, wheel burners getting deep. There is the trucking business, and then there's the business of trucking. The first one is what we do. The second one is how we do it. That is the most profound shit. As a matter of fact, let me screenshot this, because that is probably the most profound shit I've ever. I don't think I've heard anything that profound in trucking ever. That is some like second level shit right there. Anybody doesn't see that, go look at Wheelburner Express's comment. There is the trucking business, and then there's the business of trucking. That is deep. All right, drivers are getting hype over can speak English. Law enforcement isn't gonna do a damn thing. Whether they do or don't, that's not the battle to be fighting. I mean, it's not gonna change my life if somebody can speak English or not. Is Prime gonna fire students that can't communicate? Now, this is the problem. Okay, this is a different situation. Freight Nation knows students that need Google Maps to translate to communicate with their trainer. That right there is a totally different situation. So it's not hypocritical, but there's a difference where if I'm a trainer and I'm trying to train somebody that can't speak English, how is that getting done? But I can see how somebody may have got trained by some, like, I guess this is what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So, no, in that case, Prime would not be doing a service, and I've heard this instance come up, they would not be doing a service by training somebody that can't speak English. But that being said, if somehow you slipped through the cracks or you went through a private company or whatever, I certainly agree that maybe you shouldn't be driving on the roads, but I'm not going to look at that as a reason why I'm failing. Pokerhead, I'm about to go home in like 5 days, man. I'm scheduled to be home on the 5th. And I'm going to be gone so long, I'm going to need one of you motherfuckers to come train me. Alright, serial killer, why would you kill a bee for her honey? I don't know. The bees are the reason everybody's around. But I got wasps at my house. It's time to get them wasps the fuck out of here. So anyway, that's it, man. I'm just out here in Neosha, whatever we call this. I don't know what the name of this place is. I'm at I-49 exit 27, I think it is, at Love's. Just went inside to take a shower. Don't deliver till tomorrow at 9 a.m., but this is a Walmart load. This isn't one of those loads where I got to worry about being there an hour early, so I'll probably get there at 7 in the morning, a couple hours early, and I cannot wait to get home. Looks like my fleet manager is going to have quite a few trucks off, because I know Craig, if you see him in here, Craig is going to be going home. He's going to be going to Mexico as well here in the next few days. Craig says I would be the only TNT student I would feel comfortable going to sleep with behind the wheel. Man, I'm telling you, I might need you to train me. No, seriously, I'm not going to be gone that long. Here's what I've came to the conclusion of, is how much time I'm going to take off. Is we're going to be equitable, right? Is fleet managers, all these motherfuckers at in-house prime, they're getting like 2 days off a week. So you know what? I'm going to say I'm going to take 2 days off a week and then cut that in half for the last little bit. So if I'm off 10 weeks, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So that's 20 days. And then half, take half of that 10. Or, you know what I'm saying. I guess it wouldn't be 20. Add another 5 to that. But let's just say 20 days, and that'll be cool. I figure if I take off 20 days being out, and it'll probably be more than that, how's anybody going to have any issue with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just refuse to let anybody talk to me about how much time. And my fleet, trust me, my fleet manager is not the one, but I do think there are the ones out there. How are you going to, like, complain about anybody being off, too long when you're taking off 2 days off a week, and, you don't got to worry about, your house being there when you get home, or your bed being there when you get home, or, And I'm going to end this. If you're young and trucking, if you're like under 30, 35, I would probably look to get more into the in-house situations, especially if you're a prime. I'm not sure that if I was in my 20s or early 30s that trucking would be like the long play for me. So, anyway, that's it. I'm just doing it because it's a short run. If I was going to be here too fucking long, there's no way I would just be a truck driver. I'd have to get out. Because it's easy for them to talk about, be available. The best way to make money is be available. You know what? The best way for you to, I'm not even going to say it. Anyway, it's easy to talk about availability when you're sitting at home watching Netflix and fucking shit like that. Alright, my man Craig, I'd like to get back to my regular schedule. 5 weeks out, 7 days home. There you go. Don't like feeling like a stranger to my family when I get home. Absolutely. If you're young and coming into the business, do yourself a favor and listen to the veterans. Keep an open mind. Admit to yourself that you don't know everything. Absolutely. And try to, if I was a young... Hold on a second. Semper Fi! Hold on a second.
What's up, dude?
Semper Fi, man.
Semper Fi, yeah. What's up, hippie?
Oh, man, I didn't know you. What's going on?
How much, man? I like that. You from Missouri?
No, I'm just driving through. I got delivered tomorrow up in Benton, or Rogers.
Rogers, Arkansas?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, that's not a bad place to go. I go to Arkansas much. I seen you as Prime. I thought, well, you must be a Missouri boy there. Fuck. A lot of us from Missouri. Fuck brings you down there to the Neo show.
Delivered 40 miles away tomorrow, so I figure I needed a shower. I was getting a little right.
That's what I'm doing right now. So I got to stop. Got to get a DOT on the trailer and fucking, of course, because nobody else ever looked at that shit, you know. Well, fucking good guy looks at it and is like, of course it needs a fucking inspection. Why didn't I look? I knew already.
Yeah.
You know, so here we are, fucking dealing with that bullshit. I saw the hippie thing, man.
Hey, where were you in the Marines?
I actually wasn't. I represent the Means truck for the company.
All right, I got out in like 91, man.
I was in the Air Force, but then somebody else kind of got that one. So now they think that's funny. I told them to take it off because I didn't really walk around.
Actually, if you're smart, the Air Force is smarter route than the Marines.
I tell you what, going through the weigh scales, that's kind of nice having that fucker on. I swear a few times, man, they've kind of looked at it and they kind of gave me that wave, like, thanks for your service. I'm like, you're fucking right, man. Keep that bitch on the side, matter of fact. I get enough anxiety to do that shit.
Yep.
All right, man.
All right, have a good one. All right, let's see. All right. All right, G and Scott. Better watch this live. I was gonna check the other on replay, but it was a good one, and you deleted it, man. Sometimes them lives get a little too spicy, man. So yeah, I had to get rid of that shit. All right, anyway, I'm about to get off of here, run back here and take a nap real quick. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by No Hippie Truck and Transportation. As always, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.